I welcome you all for the readiness program of SSC students of 2024-25 batch during summer, organized by DCEB Yadadri Bhuvanagiri. And today is the day 5 of this program, and it is day 2 for English. And today we are going to do worksheet 2. Today let us learn how to use as, since and because for the transformation of sentences. So we all know that generally we use because, since and as to give reasons, and the most common word in English to give reasons is because. And sometimes we use as and since also to give reasons in place of because, but mostly we use because. As and since, these two words we use for other purposes also, but today I'll restrict ourselves to give reasons. So because, since and as, these three words can be used in the beginning of the sentences or in between the sentences. So remember one thing, when they are used in the beginning, the two clauses are separated by a comma. There is no need of a comma if they are used in between the sentences. And let us see some examples then. So here it is given as Ravi was tired, he took rest. So he took rest is the result, and for that result Ravi was tired is the reason. So since there are Telugu medium students also, they may not understand if I speak completely in English. So simultaneously I use Telugu also. సో ఇక్కడ రవి రెస్ట్ తీసుకున్నాడు. ఎందుకు రవి రెస్ట్ తీసుకున్నాడు అంటే అతను అలసిపోయాడు కాబట్టి. సో ఇక్కడ హీ టుక్ రెస్ట్ అనేది ఒక రిజల్ట్, ఇది రిజల్ట్. దీనికి కారణం ఏంటి అంటే రవి వాజ్ టైర్డ్. సో దిస్ ఈస్ ద రీజన్. సో వీ ఆల్వేస్ యూజ్ యాజ్, సిన్స్, బికాస్ బిఫోర్ ద రీజన్స్. So that is the structure we use. So reason ముందు ఎప్పుడైనా యాజ్, సిన్స్, బికాస్ వాడాలి. సో ఇప్పుడు యాజ్తో కంబైన్ చేస్తే ఇలా వస్తుంది సెంటెన్స్. యాజ్, ఈ రీజన్కి ముందు యాజ్ పెట్టాలి మనం. సో అప్పుడు ఏమవుతుంది, యాజ్ రవి వాజ్ టైర్డ్ హీ టుక్ రెస్ట్. సో సిన్స్ వీఆర్ కంబైనింగ్ దీస్ టూ సెంటెన్సెస్ యూజింగ్ యాజ్. So we change this full stop into comma, and we change this H, capital H, into small h. So here we wrote as before the reason. So then the result followed here. So this is the structure of the sentence while writing using as, and the same structure is used for since and because also. So let us see how to write with since. So it's very easy. As బదులు since పెట్టేస్తే సరిపోతుంది. So since Ravi was tired, he took rest. Then because also the same thing. So if you replace since with because, then it looks like this. Because Ravi was tired, he took rest. So we use as, since, because to give reasons. Because here we wanted to say why Ravi took rest. So I wanted to convey the reason for taking rest. So we wrote like this. So here we used as, since, because in the beginning of the sentences. Now let us see how to use them in the middle of the sentences. So let us see how to use as, since and because in between the sentences. So let us take the same example. So we have already identified that he took rest is the result, and it is because Ravi was tired he took rest. So Ravi was tired is the reason. So already I told you we use these three words before the reason. We add these three words before the reason. So if we want to use them in the middle of the sentences or in between the sentences, so we write result first, then we write as, since and because in between, and then the reason follows. So let us see how to write it and see how we wrote it. We wrote the result first. Ravi took rest. This is the result. So we replaced he with Ravi here because we don't begin the sentence directly with pronoun here. So first we use noun, later we use pronoun in the same sentence. So we replaced he with Ravi here. So Ravi took rest. This is the result. Then we used as here in between, and see we don't use any comma here. Then he was tired. This is the reason. So here the structure is result. So in between we put as, then the reason followed. Similarly, so let us see how to write this with since. Same, very easy thing as we saw earlier. So just replace as with since and because. Then so Ravi took rest since he was tired. We replaced as with since here. And in the next sentence, we replaced since with because. Ravi took rest because he was tired. So let us see one more example. So let us see this example now. And there is one difference between this sentence and the previous one. So here we have an extra word so here. This is an extra word. It rained heavily, so the match was cancelled. So whenever uh, you see two sentences like this, first you identify the reason and the result. So let us find out what is reason and result here. So why the match was cancelled? Because it rained heavily. So it rained heavily is the reason, and the match was cancelled is the result. So this sentence, the match was cancelled. This action is the result. This is result. And it rained heavily is the reason. So now let us write this using as. So it looks like this if we use as. So here we used as. So we kept it before the reason. This is the reason it rained heavily. Then this the result followed. So in between these two clauses we used comma. And one more change we did is this capital I, we changed it into small I, and we removed this so because so is not needed here. The meaning of so is conveyed in the with the word as. So we remove so here and we wrote result here. So now see the structure here, as we used as, then the reason, then comma, then result followed. And with since, so just replacing as with since it rained heavily, the match was cancelled. Then because it rained heavily, the match was cancelled. So we used all these three words as, since, because in the beginning of the sentences. And remember, whenever you are combining with as, since, or because, so remove the extra linker. So that's That's what you should remember here. So let us see how to use how to combine these two sentences by using these three words in between the sentences. So the main thing whenever you were asked to combine the sentences with these three words, if you can identify reason and result, then it will be very easy for you. So if you want to write this as in between, you have to write the result first, then as, since, or because in between. Then it rained heavily in the end. So now I replaced as with since in the next sentence, and with because in the third sentence. So the match was cancelled as it rained heavily. The match was cancelled since it rained heavily. The match was cancelled because it rained heavily. See, note that I didn't use any commas in between the sentence. So remember, you need not use any comma if you write as, since, because in the middle of the sentences. This is the structure of sentences. So if you want to use as, since, because in the beginning, and the first one will be the structure, and as, since, because is followed by the reason, and then finally we write result. So if you want to use them in between the sentences, use the second structure. So result will be in the beginning, then followed by as or since or because, then finally the reason. So now we'll come to the end of this session. Now it's time for assignment, and we have already sent you a worksheet too. And you today you should complete this worksheet today and write them in a separate notebook. And then there is a link is given to you at the end of the PDF format, and press on the link and answer the questions, and you can see how many marks you got at the if you submit the answers, and you can check your answers as well in this Google form, and try until you get 10 out of 10. There is no limit for your trials. You can try as many times as you want. Okay, student, thank you all. Now we close this session.